Hello and welcome back to the channel, and this will be actually the last episode for the Redux series. I already have another series planned. This will be probably introduction to the backend services using TypeScript and Node, of course. But there's just one small part that is missing when it comes to Redux, and this is the entity adapter. So let's talk about the entity adapter here for a while. See, when you're building your application with Redux and you're using slices, often is that we're using slices to separate some kind of entities into different parts. For example, you can have a user slice and maybe some kind of transaction slice, and somehow they interconnect, right? And the most common operations we were doing when working with data in programming are so-called, let me round this up a little bit even more, are CRUD operations. And what does CRUD stands for? This stands for create, read, update, and delete. As you can imagine, this is the basics of working with data in programming. You can imagine that when you're creating a comment on Facebook or Instagram, you'd like to create it, and someone would like to read it, like if you're commenting on your friend photo, he'd like to read it. You may wish to change it or remove it. So even if you take a look at the HTTP protocol, the main methods that you have there are post, get, put or patch, and delete. So as you can imagine, these are similar to the CRUD operations we're talking about here. Before, in Redux, you basically had to write them all and write selectors for them by hand. But when you're using the Redux toolkit now, you can have them, well, kind of generated for you, and you can alter them to match the shape of your data. Sorry. Okay, so I'll show you how we can update our product slice to use the entity adapter. And it might be a little bit confusing, but please bear with me. I'll try to explain it the best I can. So let's go to our product slice and let's see. We need something called adapter that is managing our entity. In our case, this is the product entity, but I will start by just creating a terminal. And okay, that's cool. Let's go with partial. Okay, and just running our project just to show that, well, it works. I hope it does. Also, I will try to post stuff more often, but there's just a lot going on. Okay, but we have that, so that's cool. Let me just switch here, get rid of that. Okay, we're good. So first things first, there's a method in Redux toolkit called create entity adapter, and we'll use that, as you can imagine, to create the adapter for our products. So maybe here for our product slice, I'll create product adapter. And this is created by create entity adapter. And then I can specify a type here, and the type of our entity is, of course, the product. Now, if we go to the Redux toolkit documentation, we'll see that when we create the entity adapter, what we get is actually an object with two properties, the IDs and the entities. And what may be confusing for you is that the entities is not an array, it's an object. And why is that? It is because it's going to be a lookup table, meaning you will have, what is a lookup table? Well, it's an object where you have some kind of ID matching some kind of object, right? And so on. And this is due to the fact that doing the lookup by a key is way faster and way cleaner than moving through an array to find something. And this idea actually comes from databases where you're searching for something using a primary key. Okay, so it kind of forces you mentally to treat your store as a database when you're using the keys to find and manipulate stuff, right? And of course, you can imagine that our IDs will be a set of keys. What do we have there? And so on. So one property is an array of keys. The other is a lookup table, and you can use the keys from the key array to find something in entities. Well, that's all nice and really reasonable, but if you take a look at our state, we're not only holding the entities in our state, but also some kind of additional keys that we'd like to use. So we must merge what we get here with additional keys. And we can do that by using get initial state. So let's do that. Initial state, which is product adapter, get initial state. And here we can enhance our state with other properties, and it's also a place where we can specify what additional keys are we providing to the state. So if I will get rid of that, and I'm getting rid of that because now this is going to be auto-generated as an entities and the IDs. So this is like extra state we'd like to use. Let's see, this is product slice state, of course. Right, and then here we specify the object. I could not specify these properties because, as you can see, they're optional, but you see that I am getting autocomplete here, meaning that the state is getting properly inferred from that interface. So just for fun, I'll specify these, of course, as undefined, and the validation state should also be undefined. Okay, so this is our initial state, and I can get rid of that. Let's avoid the conflicts. So what do we get? Actually, let's see. Our initial state right? As you can see, we have entities, IDs, as I mentioned, and also the additional keys that we specified. So that's good, okay? What we get with the adapter? Well, we get remove all, remove many, remove all, set all, update many, update one. Upsert is like add. You can treat it as an add many, add one. Also, some kind of selectors, select ID, and sort comparer. Okay, so let's see what can we get here. I'm going to set, we're setting the initial state. That's cool. Let's see about what we get here. We get some problems because our state is different now. As you can see, this is of type entity state of product and product slice state. So there are two parts here. The entity state are two keys, the IDs and the entities. And what you get after the ampersand, after and sign, is the state, is the types representation of the additional state. Meaning the type of entity state, right, is going to be IDs, which is an array, and an entity, which is an object, and then how do we call this? Product slice state, well, it's that. So together, these two types are merged into our state. Okay. Now, let's handle the basic actions that we'd like to do in our reducer. So adding is rather easy right now because all we're calling here is product adapter insert one, then we're just passing state because we always have to pass the state to the product adapter just to maintain the previous state, and then action payload. Okay, so that's one problem solving. Adding one is just assert one, it's easy. Removing by ID, because as you remember, the action, the payload of an action here is an ID of the product, because here we can filter, right? So this is going to be easy. Come on. Now we can just call product adapter, remove one, pass the state, as we already do, and then action payload is an ID. This is cool, right? Let's go further down the road and check another problem. The extra reducer, so this is handling our asynchronous tags, right? Is this also going to be a little bit easier now? Because I can change it to, we don't need to do that. I can then change it to product adapter, insert one, state, action payload. But that's not enough. So let's get back here. As you can see, we're doing a few things here. We're getting rid of the error message. We're setting the validation state, and we're adding something to our products. Okay, so now we have to do more than just a simple operation on our adapter. But this doesn't make it way complicated, because all we're doing is calling product adapter, assert one, state, and action payload. And then we can just call state validation state is going to be validation state fulfilled, and state error message is going to be undefined. Cool, right? Okay, let's see here. Here, nothing really should change because this is a rejection part, and here also there should be no problem. So let's see how we can fix this. This is going to be the state, then validation state. This is rejected, right? Right. It's going to be rejected, and error message should be the same as action error message. Okay, and you're mad at me because you expect this and this to happen. Maybe I screwed up the parentheses. Yeah, I did. I definitely did. Okay, yeah, so that was unnecessary. So let's get to the better syntax. Okay, and this padding doesn't need to change. So, oh, of course, make it undefined. Okay, now we updated our registers and we should be fine, except for the fact that get product selector, it doesn't work because it does not exist. Okay, so can we change it somehow? We could change it to entities, but as you can see here, products previously return an array of products, and entities, as we know, will return an object, the lookup table. So there will be a mismatch in the types, but thankfully what we can do is use the new selectors that are auto-generated for us by the adapter, and we just do that. So it's going to be product adapter get selectors function. Okay, and well, there's going to be one problem with that, but let's hold off with that. What we can get here are 5 selectors: select all, select by ID, select entities, select IDs, select total. Let's run through them. Select all will return an array of entities. Select by ID will return given entity if the correct ID is provided. So the ID of the entity that actually exists in our state. Select entities will return, well, the entities, so the lookup table. Select IDs will return the array of IDs, and select total will actually return a count of entities in your state. So I will just rename them slightly. This is going to be select all products. Select by ID will be select product by ID. Then we have select entities. Oh, I missed that. Select product entities. Select ID is gonna be select product IDs, and select total is gonna be select total products. So that's good. And now all we have to do is go to our product list and fix our problem. So instead of selecting our products like this, I'm gonna use select all products selector. and we should be fine, right? Well, definitely not. Okay, now we're having some problem because we're trying to map through something that's undefined. As you can see, it's right here and right here. Well, what is the problem? Maybe I can get this to look out. I would expect to have our initial products here, right? As we did previously. But let's check, what do we get actually? We are getting something terribly wrong. The of error occurred in product lists. Cannot read property map of undefined, right? Use selector. Well, yeah, this might be due to the fact that here we didn't use initial products anywhere. So at the very beginning, the products are undefined. And we can actually fix it rather easily with product adapter. Why? How? What we can do is do something like this. We'll do field initial state. It's gonna be up. It's gonna be, come on, products adapter, abstract many. And here I will specify the state that should be maintained, and this of course the initial state. And then the update is gonna be initial products. And I will, so what we did here, we took the initial state and then we fill it with initial entities, this, right? And now I will provide this, okay, as our initial state to our slice. And this is how you can initialize your adapter with few entities. Let's see whether that works. And it fails horribly. And this is because of course. Okay, so it almost works, right? So that's cool. One thing we need to do, actually, when using the selectors from product adapter, is to point the selectors, which are global selectors, to the correct slice of the state in which they should resolve. Meaning, from the state here, I need to state products. And what would be good actually is to have some kind of type here. And we can fix this by providing root state here. And now we're good to go. Also, just to show you, if I change it here, it's gonna work, but as you can tell, the state isn't initialized, okay? Because we're using that state with no entities as the initial state. So, when using selectors, you have to point them to the proper slice of your state, and then it's all gonna work. So, let's quickly, before we end all that, because I've been yapping for 24 minutes now, let's quickly take a look into each and single of the selectors. So let's say I would like to select one of my products by ID, for example, escape from Tarkov. This is gonna be use selector, and I'm gonna also use here root state of our default state. And then here we can use select product by ID. We have to pass the state, right? And then EFD to pass the entity. Let's see this. And it is working like a charm, right? Then total number of products, right? Because we have select total. It's gonna be use selector select total products. And as you can see, there's a slight difference, because here, if you like to have the proper type of state, you have to pass the root state as a generic type to use selector, so it can figure out the proper slice, proper type of your state. So this is gonna be total number of products. Then product IDs, right? Product IDs is gonna be use selector select product IDs, and the last part is gonna be entities, which have uppercase here. It's gonna be use selector select product entities, and if we load all that, you should see what is returned by our selectors. Okay, so let's see. Here we have an array of our objects from the state. This is returned by select all. Then we have one entity selected by an ID. Pass EFT here, and this is actually the EFT. Then we have a count, and that works. IDs should be an array of IDs, and then we have the entities, which, like I said, is a lookup table where you can find given entity by providing its key. So let's just show you how this works, because I can do entities EFT, what else? HOL, or entities HOL. Okay, and now I can select from that lookup table. Bring this up. I can select from that lookup table by using a key. And just to show you that everything still works, I can add a cyberpunk for, should be cheap right now, with given ID. And then, as you can see, it's properly, and the component re-renders as it should with updated data from the selectors. Okay, so this is how you can simplify your operations for a given slide using EntityAdapter. And I believe we covered everything that's important, meaning the initialization, merging of the adapter state with additional keys, handling some operations, and just showing you how you can update adapter and this part of the state which is not directly controlled by the adapter in some kind of success actions. So thank you for that. I have lots planned for the channel, only if I have a time, because, well, obviously I'm working as a developer, but I think we'll try to focus a little bit on the backend in the future episodes, just to expand our mind and learn something new, and maybe see how to connect React with the backend. Well, not the fake API, but really backend. Also, I'm planning to do some mobile tutorials in future. So, thank you. Like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next episode. Goodbye.